question, we're starting now to really get into the details of probability, all right? Not just the vocabulary and things like that, really getting into being able to calculate some stuff. So, for instance, first question in our exercise is, can we complete the table by classifying each event as impossible, likely, using the vocabulary? First one has been done for you. Now, this follows on from the task we finished. Just let me scroll back up. We finished this, didn't we?
Yeah.
All right? And you were filling in the gaps for changing fractions to decimals. But you already have some examples and some thoughts about how does the fraction become from very unlikely through to very likely. And we decided that, well, if the gap between the numerator and the denominator is big, if the numerator is a lot lower than the denominator, it meant it was unlikely, right? If the top number, the numerator, is quite close to the denominator, the bottom number, that's likely, yeah? Remember saying that? Mm-hmm. It's easier to see when you turn it into a decimal. Do you remember we looked at this and went, oh look, 12.5%, that's not really not quite good enough that we did, yeah? We weren't quite close enough to equally likely. But we're following on from that with this exercise that we're just doing here, all right? So they're giving us some information. We awake? Yeah? So, it says, look, the probability of rain is 0.23. You get the P, yeah? That means it's unlikely. Could you justify that?
Because so we're using decimals here, and that means it goes up to either, since we're doing 0.23, depending on the decimal you're using. So if it could be 0.1, then that would be different because it would be out of 10. But then since we're doing 0.23, what we're doing is out of 100, and 23 is just under 1/4 because we turn that into a percentage and it becomes 23%.
Okay.
So it's still out of 100. And that is just under 1/4, so it's
all right, there's a lot going on there. I think I didn't agree with it a little bit and then you saved it. But yeah, basically, guys, you can think of it as 0.23 is, are you all happy with 23%? Mm-hmm. Is that in the unlikely or the likely side of things? It's the unlikely, which they've got. And then they've written this sentence, when I go outside, I probably won't need to bring an umbrella because it's unlikely that it's going to rain. Right? So you're going to do the same thing for the others. So we don't need to draw the table out, we can just do each one in turn. It doesn't need to be in the form of a table. But let's have a look. So let's write, like it can be in your book, the probability of a red marble is 3 out of 4. So probability of red marble equals 3 and 4. Okay, can you write that down? Now, if we had to put vocabulary next to that, what would we say? Is that unlikely, likely, very likely? What would you say, Andrew? Very likely. Very likely? Yeah, you agree?
I disagree. I'd say it's likely. I would say to be very likely, it would have to be over maybe 80%.
Okay.
And this would be 75%.
Well, what I would say for that is, I can't disagree with you, but I'm also not going to be able to disagree with him. All right? If you said because what is this as a percentage? Anyone know?
75%.
So this is 75%. Is everyone okay with how to do that? You
Yeah.
did the thing, yeah? So if you want to look at it like that, if you said, oh, it's got to be over 95%, I thought, oh, that's a big enough difference. But if you're only getting 80%, is that enough to say he's wrong, that it's very likely? I don't know. It's a bit. This is where our opinions in there a little bit. Yeah, exactly. It's not a huge difference. It's up to you what you want to interpret it. I would say the main word is that it's definitely likely. Whether you say very likely or not, that's for you to decide.
would just say I feel like it would be better not to just because you gotta kind of have rules and then you gotta follow those.
But what is the rule?
For me, it's 80%.
But that's for you.
And then the rule.
Why do we all have to follow that rule? Rules need to be agreed by everyone if we want. Like, you can't just make up a rule and say everyone else has to follow it. If you want to say anything at 80%, but what about 79%?
I would say that's not very likely.
But 80% is very likely.
Yeah.
Well, if that's what you want to go with, then you go for it. I'm not going to say that's wrong. Andrew?
I'm not saying it's wrong or anything. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying because it's not like that big of a difference. It's like like you were saying, it's like a government kind of. It's not like one person makes all the rules. Like, oh, now you call it.
Yeah.
It has to run through a system. It's
Yeah.
people have
Well,
to-
I think, like, I get this one it's along the limit. If you actually took a number line, guys, and you don't all have to draw this out. If we took a number line though and we split it into, I don't know where I'm, we split it into the 4 pieces, right? This one, 3 out of 4 would lie here, yeah? Now if you think about it, if I take you all the way up to this other one, right, this line here, if I were to break that into 4 pieces, look what that one says. It just says likely, yeah? But that's why there's no very likely on there. Because I think that discussion starts to be had. Like, when does likely become very likely? But it's up to you. If you like, I'm happy with this word likely. If everyone puts in likely. If you put very likely, if you put very, very, very likely, almost certain, then I disagree with you. Yeah? It's not almost certain. It is likely. It could be argued that it's very likely. Yeah? That, you make that decision. But I can see it's definitely likely. It's a nice bit of discussion. Alright? So, very likely, or it's just likely, you make your mind up. Let's just come up with a sentence though. What would you say? Because you're going to have to come up with your own idea of what this red marble situation could be. Yeah.
I probably John, Jack, Bob, and Bob. They were playing marbles and.
See, I think you've got the idea that there's 4 and there's 4 people, but I don't think that actually matters. It can be Bob is playing marbles.
Well, oh yeah, Bob could be playing marbles and there's
Four marbles
and 3 of them are
are
red.
red. But that doesn't give me a sentence about
And one is green.
And probably will get a red
Like
marble
it.
when playing.
yeah, like it. Did you see the difference what she said?
Yeah.
When Bob takes a marble from the pot, do you remember we did that?
Oh yeah.
It is likely it will be red. I don't need to give any other details. So when Bob takes, or when you take, when I take, when Bob takes a marble from the pot, it is likely it will be red. That's how I could answer that one. Yeah? Make sense?
Yes.
So you can do the next 3. Laying it out like we've just done it. So it doesn't have to be in a table, you don't have to cram it into the table. You just lay it out on the page. And then, should we say 5 minutes, have a go at 3, and then we'll discuss what you've come up with. So let's go through again. The probability of a perfect score is 80%. So the probability of a perfect score equals 80%. Now, just to show you, because I saw someone had done this, if we put that on a number line, okay, and because it's 80%, we would do 0 to 100%. That's about up here, yeah? 80%, so you can see that one is definitely in the likely. So what would you say? Bondi?
Bob, wait, just a sec. Bob studied. So it's very likely.
Bob studied. Oh, sorry, right. Bob studied hard. So the probability. Oh, no, hang on, I won't do that. So it is very likely he will get not a good score,
Perfect score.
a perfect score. If you're happy with it. Anyone else got any other options for that? Yeah.
The probability of getting a perfect score is very likely.
Okay.
Can I say mine?
Yeah, I say Bob. I'm gonna go with Joe. I put Joe.
Yeah.
Joe was playing a game, and the chance of winning was 80%, so it's very likely.
But you've not used the perfect score thing there. You just said win.
Oh.
The whole point
win
is-
the game, perfect score of. No, I did that for win. Never mind. I didn't do perfect. I chose my
No,
favorite win.
yes, say.
Karen with a C studied very hard, so it's very likely that she will get a perfect
So
score.
you changed to Karen. Okay.
Karen with a C.
No, say Karen with C.
Bobby, the girl. There you go. Right. Next one. Yes, Rory.
I just wanted to say mine is there
Please
is a
listen to
very
each other.
likely chance of you getting a perfect score.
It's very likely that you will get a perfect score. Yeah, that one works. The next one, probability of win. So, the probability of win is, what does it say, 0.5?
Very unlikely.
No, I wouldn't agree, no.
It's 50
Oh.
So what do we say?
Oh, it's equally as likely
Equal.
as unlikely.
Oh, I put equal at first. Dang it.
Equal chance, isn't it? Because
0.5 out of 10.
if you think about it, 0.5 is 0 to 1 and 0.5 is in the middle. It's the even chance or equally likely.
Because it's.
I kind of misled you for that. That's my fault.
No,
I
it's 1 and 0.
chose heads. The chance of winning or losing is equal.
If it ain't a win.
Yeah. Well, it isn't because you're told that the probability of winning is 0.5.
Half.
A half, yeah.
And then, you know.
I chose heads. The chance of winning or losing is equal. There are other options. Anyone else have something different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do the same thing with tails.
Yeah. Right.
The chance of me winning Fortnite Battle Royale is
Yes.
50.
It's more of a 25.
Say it.
It's a
The chance, I'm gonna do
Listen up, guys.
Karen with the C just learned how to sail, so she has an equal chance of capsizing or not drowning.
The only thing I would say I don't like on that one is you didn't use the word winning. You put
Oh, yeah.
capsizing or drowning.
Winning
You know what that is? It's not equally.
Karen with the C is quite new to
We
sailing,
don't know
so
that.
she has an equal
We
chance
don't
of
know.
winning or drowning in the sailing race.
Okay.
Swimming race.
If you wanted to disagree with that, that's up to you. But without actual, I mean, you can't say that that's wrong. That's the thing. Yeah. Last one on this one, and we go.
Susie likes the Plinko game because she has an equal chance of winning.
Potentially.
Susie likes the Plinko game because she has an equal chance of winning. Very This is a lie.
Last one. Yeah, that's definitely not true, is it? Right. Are you paying attention, please? Right. What is the word that goes with it, vocabulary-wise? What do you think, Holden? Yeah, what's the word, the vocabulary? Is it likely, unlikely, even?
I thought it was
It's very unlikely, isn't it? Right, what, guys, please. Let me put in. Yes?
You probably do not want to put this as your thing, but it's just one. Karen the girl did not have a mask on in the store, so it is very unlikely that she will be able to call the manager.
But, again, what's that got to do with the probability that it's a girl? I could say, for that one, if you're going to add to this, I would say, if I walk into a store and I look at people without a mask, the probability it is a girl without a mask is very unlikely. Or it is very unlikely that I see a girl without a mask. Sadie, is that you see how it's different, yeah?
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Okay, so I was gonna say getting a girl partner for our project, whatever, it's very unlikely.
Oh, I like it. Yeah. The probability that I'm given a partner that's a girl is very unlikely. Yeah.
The probability of seeing a girl pirate is very unlikely.
Maybe. Maybe. Okay. I look down the results for those that pass and fail. The probability that it's a girl that fails is very unlikely. Sadie?
I have a question. I don't know if this would work, but I just want to wonder. Karen with the seat is eating a jar of cockroaches. Most of them are boys, so it is very unlikely she'll eat a female cockroach.
That can work.
Little girls tend to prefer the color pink.
Okay, you're making a statement. I like you linking the two. You're listening, and Rory, again, you're listening. So he made a statement first. Girls tend to like pink rather than blue. The probability that I find a girl that's true for is very unlikely. Yeah, or it is very unlikely that is true. Something along those lines. If you're packing up before I've given you permission to, that's going to make me grumpy. Okay, so you've got lots of options there. How are you feeling about the link with the numbers and the writing sentences? Because that's something we could definitely do in an assessment. Well, tomorrow what we need to do is I would like you to do these rest of these questions. Okay? Then what we can do is we can then start looking at how we're going to start preparing our games and things. Okay?